Hey guys, how's it going? So, Pre-Patch changed a lot of things, and talent trees might be the biggest change of them all. Many classes went from barely playable to feeling great to play, but almost all of them changed the way they are played. And Druids, having basically 4 specs, might have benefited from the changes more than other classes did. Let's look more in depth at those changes, shall we? Starting off with balance, Moonkins finally become a proper caster class, with an actual rotation and less mana issues. Improved Fairy Fire now actually gives spell hit and crit rather than giving hit to melee and ranged physical DPS. Really, Blizzard. Took you long enough to realize that buffing others, but not yourself, is not very fun. Anyway, new Fairy Fire now gives 3% spell hit to everyone, and also gives you personally 3% crit against the affected target. In combination with the balance of power, Moonkins get 5% spell hit from talents alone. Moonkin form now gives you 2% of your mana pool back for every crit. An improved Moonkin form adds 3% haste to Moonkin aura and converts 30% of spirit into spell power. Other lower tier talents increase damage of separate spells, convert your intellect into MP5 or spell power, or give you haste. Starfall, a new 51-point talent, is an uncontrollable AoE that can pull the entire dungeon if used mindlessly, but it can also serve as a single target nuke, as it only summons 20 projectiles, and the less targets, the more damage one target would take from the spell. The biggest Moonkin change though is Eclipse, a new mechanic that makes it necessary to switch between Wrath and Starfire to maintain maximum damage. Critical Strike with one spell increases the damage of the other spell for the next 15 seconds, having a separate internal 30-second cooldown that starts from proc, which means that with enough critical strike chance, you could have Eclipse effects up all the time. No more mindless spamming Starfire to save mana. The only problem is that there are so many good talents that you don't have enough talent points to take all of them. And while this problem is also somewhat present in other Druid specs, balance probably suffers the most. Because if you want to spec into Omen of Clarity, which now works for casters, you will have to let go of 3% extra haste, mana regen, hit, or spell mana cost reduction. Can't have them all. Moving on to Restoration Tree, at the very top we can see that Improved Mark of the Wild is now a 2-pointer, which also increases all stats by 2%. And Furor now gives 10% intellect increase in Moonkin form. Omen of Clarity is now a passive effect rather than a self-buff, and it works for all spells, not just melee hits, which makes it worth taking every time you can get to it. Next to it is a new Master Shapeshifter talent, which gives a different 4% bonus for every separate form. Most other talents that were already present didn't see much change, with some also increasing healing effect of Nourish, a new level 80 spell that heals more the more periodic healing effects you have on the target. Tree of Life form doesn't slow you down anymore, and improved form gives you healing power equals to 5, 10 or 15% of your spirit. 51-point talent, Wild Growth, is yet another periodic healing effect, but this time it is casted on the entire group. Also, Druids now get a normal revive in addition to Comet Resurrection, though they can finally be in a party with 4 inexperienced warriors and resurrect everyone after Shadow Melding out of a sticky situation. Torrent players? Well, they'll probably have to Spirit Walk with the warriors. Saving best for last, let's talk Ferals. Feral Druids didn't get as many changes as Balance, but Feral changes are arguably just as big, if not bigger. Feral talents now give bears 10% extra dodge chance, and lets you regenerate rage every time you dodge. Now, stacking dodge will not make you rage starved anymore. Bears are also getting full crit immunity through talents, which improves the itemization quite a lot. Bear items will no longer have their itemization points spent on resilience or defense rating just to make themselves uncrittable. Most leather pieces in Wrath will have agility at their primary stat, which gives more avoidance per point than defense rating. With that in mind, most bear damage will have to come through attack power or strength from jewelry and cloaks, which will likely still have defense rating on them. So don't just forget about your old pal defense. It's gonna stick for a while, in one form or another. Going back to talents, Lacerate periodic damage can crit if specced into. And Feral Fairy Fire is no longer a talent, but an ability that is learned from a class trainer. Additionally, it was remade to decrease target armor by 5% and deal damage on top of it, which makes it a core part of Feral rotation. 51 point talent is a cooldown that allows you to spam Mangle in bear form at up to 3 targets, or reduce energy cost of cat abilities by 50%. Speaking of cooldowns, Bark Skin is now also usable in bear and cat form, and a new early talent, Survival Instincts, gives you 30% of your maximum health in feral forms for 20 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Potions and elixirs are now also usable in feral forms, which removes a lot of junkiness from bear tanking. As for cats, not much have changed in the talents in the pre-patch for them. A new talent, Primal Precision, refunds 40 or 80% of energy if a finishing move doesn't land, while also giving 5 or 10 expertise. Predator Strikes now give 20% chance per combo point to make next cast under 10 seconds an instant one after a finishing move, which is huge for PvP, but not so much for PvE. Speaking of PvP, Feral Charge now has a cat element to it, making you leap behind the enemy target. Tiger's Fury is now a 30-second cooldown which costs no energy, and if spec'd in the King of the Jungle even restores 60 energy on use. But the biggest cat change, strangely enough, is in the Restoration tree, in the Furor talent. Each point of Furor increases the maximum amount of energy you get to regenerate while being out of cat form by 20, which means that power shiftiness in you is gone. But the new type of shifting might be born. Players are still figuring out the best way to kill time while waiting for energy to regenerate. Some argue that healing other party members while fishing for Omen of Clarity procs is good, while others insist that shifting into bear form and keeping up lesser stacks give more DPS. Feral Druids are truly a different breed of people. Another big change that often goes under radar is Feral attack power on weapons. Feral attack power is not a separate stat anymore, which means no itemization points will go towards it, but rather it will scale with weapon DPS, which opens up a lot of previously unviable weapons up for pickup. And that's it for Druid changes overview. I'll be doing a Paladin changes overview soon, so subscribe to not miss out on that one. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you didn't, and, as always, see you all in the next one.